Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. It's your girl, Lady Q, and it is Monday. So, my weekends are typically so busy that on Mondays, I just chill, I relax, I do nothing. Just kind of just Mondays is like my weekend while everyone else is getting into their work week. So Mondays is my chill day, and so I was thinking because typically what ends up happening is that we have things that we have to do. And so this is an impromptu video, impromptu post on, you know, when there's things on our mind to do and it's something new for us, right? What is it? We already know it's fear that keeps us from doing things. We know that being scared, keeps us from moving forward. And so I was upstairs in the bathroom and I was getting ready for the day. And like I had this thought, just do this impromptu video. And then I was like, no, I don't think I want to do that. Then I was like, okay, I could do the impromptu video, but I got to make sure I have on the right thing. I got to make sure that my makeup is done. I got to make sure all of these things. Then I thought about, well, the length of time is going to take me to do all of that. Then I'm going to end up not doing the video because after all of that, like, then the thoughts that I had in my head to what to talk about would have already went out of my head. So I was just like, well, okay, I can just go ahead and do makeup real quick. And then I thought about it like I don't really feel like putting makeup on. Monday is like my day to just chill. So, you know, putting makeup on, like, no, we're not doing that. So I decided that I was not going to put makeup on today and just chill and be how I normally am. Yet the question that popped in my head through this whole process is what is the fear? Like, what keeps us from moving forward when God places a thought in us to share, or a word for us to speak, or someone for us to touch, or a task for us to do? What keeps us from moving forward? And really, I want to talk to those people that are having to put themselves out there, like in a public space, like a social media platform and all of those things. Like some of us think, I got to have the right camera. I have to have the right setup. I have to have all the lights and the bells and the whistles and the things and the stuff. And at the end of the day, do people really care about all the bells and whistles? Or are those the things that we use to keep us from moving forward? Are those the things that we're using to hinder us? Like another example, if I need to lose weight and she is working on losing weight, I need to lose weight, right? So sometimes, and I'm asking like really questions, like because I really want the feedback of how people process, like what do they think? For instance, losing weight is another one. So, and losing weight, sometimes we think, our money has to be a certain way. I have to go to a certain gym. Um, my home life has to be a certain way. I have to eat a certain food. I have to make sure I have the right blender. I have to make sure I have the right juicer. Um, the season has to be right in order for me to lose weight. Like these are things that either I faced or things that I've heard. Like season is one of them. Like it has to be warm for me to start losing weight. Um, I don't have the right tools. So then the question that I have is like, what are all the tools that you need to govern what you eat and how you eat and when you eat? Because truly losing weight is like 80% of what we put in our mouth, and exercise and all those things is comes with that, and it does help. It helps boost the metabolism and all those things. And What tools do you need to just walk out of your house and walk down the street? And these are things that I most recently was like facing, like, you know, it's time for me to lose weight. And for some odd, unknown reason, my husband pointed out that around my birthday, which is June 2nd, is when I decide that I want to um, eat right. I guess you could say eat right, eat all the right things, do all the right things. And my diet shifts. That's when I want all the fruits. Um, and I stay away from a lot of starches. And it's not an intentional thought process. It just kind of happens. So every year on my birthday for the last 3 years, he's been giving me a pineapple. And this year I was kind of like frustrated because I got the pineapple. And then all of a sudden, everything that I ate that could possibly irritate the roof of my mouth, my tongue, everything went haywire. But at the same time, I did a lot of like new things. Like, okay, I'm just going to walk. Instead of waiting to find the right gym to go into to pay them money, um, I'm just going to just walk right out my front door and walk. And when I had COVID, there was a certain path that I walked with my husband and my son. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna walk this path, but I'm gonna go a little bit further. And lo and behold, it was a little over a mile if I walked this circle and came back home. So I was like, okay, I think I could do the walk. Um, but really the question is what is really the things we find all the things to put in place before we get ready to do it. So what is that? Um, Again, if you are trying to go into a social media platform and you're looking for all the things to put in place to do it, what is that? And really, um, we can call it procrastination. We can call it fear because a lot of times we look for things and stuff and the bells and the whistles and everything to be absolutely right before we make a decision to actually do anything. We want everything to be in place, everything to be right, everything to be perfect. And then once we get all the things that we feel that we need for them to be in place and for them to be right, what then ends up happening is we need something else. Something else gets in the way. And so really they're all distractions. I think that's what we're doing to ourselves is that we're putting ourselves in a position that we have all of these distractions in our life and we are distracting ourselves from the things that we need to do. We're distracting ourselves from the things that the Lord has called us to do. Like some of you, the Lord have given you instructions to do something, whether it's in ministry, whatever it is. If there's a business that you have and that you have all of these gifts, but you're not doing anything with them, or you have the gift, you begin to function based on that gift, but you're not producing from that gift. And so you might say, like, what do you mean? Like, for instance, if I make jewelry and the gift that the Lord has given me is in my hands, and I make jewelry, and here I am making jewelry, but all I'm doing is making the jewelry. I'm not advertising, I'm not marketing, I'm not telling anybody. And I have been one of those ones, I'm guilty of that because I make beaded bracelets and I make earrings. And so I would make my bracelets and wear my bracelets. I would make my earrings and wear my earrings. And people would be like, oh, wow, where'd you get that from? And I'd be like, oh, I made it. And the first thing they ask is like, do you have a website or do you have an Instagram? And I'm like, I have an Instagram, but it's not really on there. And the funny thing about it is like, I'll make my jewelry and I'll like my jewelry so much that I'll wear it. Like there's not a piece that I made that I didn't like enough to not wear. So that's like part of my personal struggle when it comes to that. And then I'm an artist, and so I paint. And yeah, I paint. And it's hard for me to sell my paintings. Why is it hard for me to sell my paintings? Because I have to depart from them. And so this is the thing. A lot of us have creative gifts, and we'll make things. We'll paint, we'll sculpt, we'll do all of these things, and then we don't let them go. Why? Because everything that we make is a piece of who we are. You're letting go a piece of who you are. And so we even allow that to be a hindrance in the gifts that we have. And so somebody once said to me, okay, you paint, but why don't you create or go have reprints made? Okay, well, that's a grand idea to have reprints made. Then I still have the original piece. And that's cool. And I was excited about it. And I was like, yes, but I ain't done it yet. But really pointing out the things that God has gifted us with, the instructions that the Lord has given us. And let's even talk about ministry. Some of us have received a certain type of instruction for ministry, and what are we doing with it? Like, you can get the yes to it. Like, your pastor or your overseer can say yes. They can tell you, I'm going to cover you. They can pray over you. And then they can send you and say, you know what? I'm releasing you to do what's inside of you because I see what the Lord has placed inside of you to do. And so go do it. I got you covered. Then we look for another reason not to do it. The question is, why are you not doing what the Lord called you to do? Whether if what the Lord called you to do is to create with your hands, why are you not doing it? If the Lord has called you to do ministry, why are you not doing it? If the Lord has called you to make jewelry, to touch people, paint, write, start a business, why are you not doing it? You can look for all the things in the world. Why not to do it? And sometimes I sit back and I look at other people that have things and stuff and things they've created, and they don't have the bells and the whistles, all the lights that they feel that they need, or the cameras that they feel that they need. They don't have all the, and they're successful in what they're doing because they didn't allow the distractions of things and stuff. They knew that they either had a great product, they knew that even in themselves, what they was producing was something great. Um, the ministry that the Lord has placed in them was something great. They knew, and so they just did it and trusted God with whatever it was that they were doing, and trusting that the Lord will put the pieces in alignment. And so a lot of times we're hindering ourselves because of fear. And the question is, what type of fear is that fear? Because there's different types of fear. This is not speaking to that fear that just stops you from doing everything, but this is speaking to the fear of, what are people going to say? Are people going to accept it? Will people like it? Will people buy it? What do people, think about it? And I'm really throwing out questions that I've even dealt with within myself, that even when it came to my own art, a lot of the times that I didn't put my art out there is because I liked it, but then I began to question the value of it. I began to question, is it worth this? I began to question, will someone like this piece that I painted? Um, what will people purchase it? Will they, how will people look at it? And then what was said to me was, it wasn't really a question about the art. It was a question about myself. And so when we look at fear and how how we fear things that the Lord has placed inside of us to do, it's not really a fear to do. It's really what we think of ourselves. So if I look at my art and I say, well, I don't know what people are going to think about it. I'm saying I don't know what people are going to think about me. I don't know if people are going to buy it. What I'm saying is, I don't think that I'm worth anyone purchasing something that I've created, which it's speaking to my own worth. If I look at it and say, well, you know what, I'm going to put it at a low cost because I don't think it's worth being high priced. Now I'm saying that what I'm worth, the value of the gift that the Lord has given me, is not worth it. And so I rather drop the cost of things for a reason. For the sake of, I don't think I'm enough. I don't think I'm worth it. I don't I don't think, in essence, when we look at art and we look at the beauty of art, I don't think I'm beautiful enough. What are we doing here that we put ourselves in these positions and situations to say that the gift that God has given me is not worth. I'm not worth it. I'm not valued enough for it. So really, most of the times we're looking at what we think people would think of us, what we think people would think of our gift. What do we think people will value our gift as? Whether or not our gift is enough for other people. And so we allow self fear to get in the way, even in me thinking about, okay, doing an impromptu video and saying, okay, I need to be like this and I need to be like that and this need to be put in place. It was really like, okay, I don't, I don't know if it'll be received, if everything is not put in place a certain way. And so we allow ourselves to get into this space of allowing fear in some form or fashion to control our life. When what God has for us, he gave to us for a reason and for a purpose. And so really, what I really wanted to share with you is, don't allow the bells and the whistles and the things and the stuff dictate whether or not you move forward. Don't allow yourself to get in a place where you're thinking less of yourself, that you believe that what God gave you is not worth it. So it's like saying, well, God, I know you gave me this gift, but somewhere in you giving me this gift, you didn't give me enough of it. It's not beautiful enough. It's not strong enough. It's not intense enough. It's not impactful enough. So now I have to look at all the other pieces to make it strong enough, beautiful enough, impactful enough. But the gifts that God gives us, He gives it to us in such a way that they're perfect. And He's given you the people specifically for the gifts that you have. For the instructions that He's given you the people for those instructions. That if you trust God in everything that you're doing, then fear should not be playing a part to keep you from moving forward. The distractions of the enemy, because really what's happening is that the enemy is going to bring distractions to make you say, okay, I can't do this yet. I'll do it later. Later comes, you don't do it. Listen, procrastinator is like the worst distraction that we could have. Some people wait till the very last minute to do something, and then the last minute come and they don't do it. Because guess what? They didn't prepare for what they were supposed to do. So nothing is done that needs to be done, that could have been done for the time frame that it should have been done in order to do what they needed to do. But yet they procrastinate, and procrastination is like the worst thing that we can face because procrastination kills everything. Procrastination kills your momentum. Procrastination kills the productivity. It also kills the preparation that leads up to what you're supposed to be doing. So ultimately, it kills everything that you're supposed to do and put out there. Therefore, procrastination takes over. And this is what the enemy does. The enemy puts us in these spaces of procrastination also that keeps us from producing. So not do only do you have fear, you're not producing. And so when we look at fear and what the word says about fear, he says, I've not given you the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So if he's not giving us the spirit of fear, then what are we doing, and what are we allowing to get in our way when it comes to us having fear? God has given you clarity in the process. And so with that being said, we can't allow ourselves to sit still and not do what the Lord has placed inside of us to do. So if you're creative, create. Don't worry about whether or not it's good enough. Quit second guessing yourself. Quit second guessing the gift that God has given you. Quit second guessing the gift giver, right? If the Lord has placed ministry in you, why why are you sitting on it and not moving forward, or only doing a piece of it and not doing the whole gamut of it? Because he says it's time to move forward, and you're looking for everyone else around you to agree with what he gave you. He didn't give the vision to them. He gave the vision to you. And if he gave the vision to you, then why are you looking for people to say yes when God has already said yes? And if the vision that the Lord has given you is already covered, what are you looking for? What are you waiting on? What's holding you back? What's stopping you from moving forward? What's stopping you of producing what the Lord has placed in your hand to produce? If you're a writer, write. If you're a poet, do poetry. Do spoken word. Don't allow certain things to stand in the way, because also being a poet, I allowed the fact that I couldn't memorize my poetry to stop me from being bold and confident in my poetry. And I prayed about it. And not only, this is the thing, when we pray about the very thing that the Lord has given us, not only will it move forward and flourish, what it will also do be better than what you even thought that it would be. He'll give it to you in such greatness. So when I was scared because I lacked confidence in memorizing my poetry, and I prayed because I just couldn't memorize my poetry no matter what I did. And so then I prayed and I asked God, like, what is it that I'm missing? Am I putting myself in a box, and is the box hindering me from moving forward? Because the Lord began to reveal to me, like, you're hindering yourself. You're hindering yourself because you're putting yourself in a box, and the gift that I gave you is greater than just you memorizing the lines over and over and over and over and over again and rehearsing these lines and saying rehearsed lines. So then the Lord dropped in my spirit, just stand in front of the people and I'll give you what to speak, and speak it. So one day I went and I stood in front of the people, scared as ever, and spoke it as God gave it to me to speak. So instead of memorizing, because the Lord didn't want me to memorize my words, what he wanted me to do is speak it in its present moment. So it was far beyond what I could have imagined, because initially going in, there's no way I'd have stood in front of anybody and spoke anything. So the Lord showed me, I'm going to give you poetry for the present time, for the present moment. So then I stood in front of these people and just began to do poetry in a present moment. And the impact was much greater had I just done pieces that I recited over and over and over and over and over again. And many amazing great poets that do that, and I love it. But it wasn't what was for me. What was for me was in the present moment. And so I'm grateful for that. But I had to get to a place where I didn't allow fear to control where I was. And so don't allow what you think, how you're supposed to do it, to also put you in a place of hindrance, because we put our own selves inside those boxes. So tear down the walls, take the lid off the box, step outside the box, and present everything that the Lord has given you outside of your box. Be uncomfortable, because there's growth in uncomfortability, if that's even a word. Uncomfortability. There's growth in that. It's growth in being uncomfortable, because in being uncomfortable and you step out, it's like all of this amazingness that the Lord brings out of you. And then you get comfortable, and then you get uncomfortable again. So that's part of the process. It's learning to be uncomfortable and moving forward, and not allowing fear to hold you down, and not allowing fear to hold you back, and not allowing fear to be all the distractions of the things and the stuff and the bells and the whistles. Just doing it